Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'm going to give my first impression on the two new collab units, Mori Calliope and Tokoyami Towa. Before we start, I wanted to quickly mention how collab works in this game, just in case you're a new player and you're wondering what's going on. So collabs, as in most gacha games, are time-limited events where we have a banner that will let us summon for units of a different game, IP, or like in this case, a VTuber agency. Once this time-limited event is over, you will not have the possibility anymore to summon for those units. So they will be gone forever. They do not rerun the collab units, guys. So if you're missing on them, they will be lost forever. Luckily, they're going to give us a free copy of each of the unit just by completing missions. And you can do that just for free. You don't have to do anything in particular. It's pretty easy to do. So you will get a copy, and that is good enough because you can always get dupes for those units. We have a thing called Blessing Stone or something. Let me quickly open it. It's in the event mission and it's the reward if you finish all of these. These SSR plus Towers Blessing Breakstone. This one is going to let you dupe every single SSR plus in the game. It works as a universal dupe. The unlucky thing is that to get it, you have to spend Suspendium, because if you want to get to 70,000 event points, you need to spend around 30 to 35k Suspendium. And yeah, that's a bit disappointing. That's a bit too costly. So it's not a reliable way to get a unit from 0 dupes to Rainbow 5. This is more to finish up a collab unit that you have at Orange 4, and you can get them to Rainbow 5 through this system. It's still going to be expensive, but at least you can max them out. It's not to be relied upon. It's just, again, a measure that you can use if you don't have the resources to max out a unit in the banner itself. And yeah, that being said, let's have a quick look at the banner, and then I will also mention which one you should pull for. But I think that one will be discussed later after I will give you my first impression on both of them. So for the banner, this is different from the previous collabs. The cost is higher, is 300 Suspendium per pull instead of 100, which is really disappointing. And overall, the cost to max out a single SSR Plus is basically twice the cost that we had for the previous collab, which is really stupid, because with 120k before we could max an SSR Plus unit and an SSR unit. Here we will need 200k to 300k to max out a single one, which is, again, pretty disappointing. The average would be 400k for both units maxed out, which is a lot. And yeah, I will again mention later if I think it's worth it or not for these units. I can already say Mori Calliope is not really the unit I would go for. If you want to summon here, go for Towa, but more detail on this later. So once you pick one of the two units here in the banner for the rate up, if you click here, you will have the possibility of selecting one of the two. And then you will have an increased rate for that one, a 1.7% for the selected unit and a 0.3% for the other one. Once you reach 100 summons, and this one does not reset if you get a unit, so it's not a PT that resets, it's a hard PT that you will hit every 100 summons, you will have the possibility of picking one of the two of your choice. So that's quite a good system. And yeah, that being said, the resources that you will need and that you can use on this banner are very limited. You can only use the special tickets that are going to be given to you for free. We're going to get 100 of them, as far as we know for now. They might increase them and give us more with some sort of notifications or something. But yeah, these tickets can only be obtained via missions or by paying real money. There are some bundles, you can buy some, and that's it. You cannot convert your purple tickets or your black market tickets, so the orange ones. Those cannot be converted in collabs, but they can be used in some other events. Like the black market tickets can be used in the advanced summon, that is the one for family heads, and can also be used on the special summon banner for the SSR Plus releases. The purple ones, not really frequently, but like in the next update, we will have a banner that will let us use the normal tickets as well. So that's good. But okay, in this case, collab, only their tickets or Suspendium that I mentioned before. And that's it. You have no other ways. I would recommend waiting before you summon if you are a free-to-play player and you just started out. Do not go ahead and use your Suspendium. Save it up a bit, see how much you can get, and then decide. Do not pull immediately, because if you end up with an half invested unit, it's not really the best. So that's kind of my recommendation, but more on that maybe in the free-to-play video series, let's say. And okay, enough for the banner. I think I mentioned everything. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments. Or if you have any doubts or questions, feel free to ask. Now let's quickly head over to the characters and let's talk about Mori Calliope. So this unit, as I already mentioned, is pretty disappointing. Her utility is low, but there are some use cases, and for that I have to thank Wellplayed GGVP for sharing a use case that I think is really helpful, but it's going to be mostly for players at higher floors. If you are at lower floors, not as useful, but could still be okay. And then in terms of damage, she's kind of trash, absolutely terrible. There were times where she could actually deal okay-ish damage, but I will say she's definitely not at carry level damage. That's for sure. So definitely do not go for her if you're looking for a carry. She might carry in the early stages and at lower deficits, but she will fall off super quickly. So ability wise, she's fine. I rarely had her die. Could be because of the teams I run her in, but I also tried without too many like survivability supports, and she could still survive okay. So I think she's fine in that compartment at the very least. She cannot really be maybe the mono frontline unit of the team, but I would say she's okay. At least she survives. But yeah, damage and utility definitely lacking, should have been better. That's my first impression for now. In terms of dupes, to be honest, good part of her utility, well, limited utility, can already be provided even at zero dupes, to be honest. But yeah, not really the best, and is not going to apply that utility when you want her to. So Rainbow 5 is likely where it's at, mostly for the initial energy. Because Revolution 5 is kind of trash. Revolution 4 is good. I will say Revolution 4 is good. But Revolution 5, yeah, well, I don't like it that much. So enough for the first impression. Let's quickly go through the skills and we can see why I'm saying this. So for the passive, she has the summoning ability of the Death Sensei. He's going to have 80% of her stats at level 1, 120 at level 5. Quite decent, but Death Sensei will still die if your deficit is too high. I'm talking about 320, 340 plus, something like that. Death Sensei will definitely struggle to stay alive. But it's okay. And Death Sensei is immune to status effects. That's nice. That's nice. Then we have the other part of the passive, that is whenever someone dies, there is going to be an effect. One is that when an ally dies, Death Sensei and Calliope are going to get an 80% defense increase, max 5 stacks. This is going to count for summoned beings, except for Death Sensei. So every other summoned beings will count for this. The unfortunate thing is that it can be removed, and I don't really like that. But it is what it is, I guess. So it's an interesting effect, but it's not going to be that massive. When an enemy dies, on the other hand, she's going to get an 80% attack increase, max 5 stacks, and again, last until the end of the battle, can be removed. 400% attack increase is decent. There is always the problem that this is on enemy death, and if she's your carry unit without this buff, she's going to struggle to kill the first one. Maybe she will have an easy time killing the last remaining one, but getting the stacks will be the problem. So mono carry, difficult. If she's a sub DPS, potentially this will trigger and will be okay. So it's a bit, yeah, well, not that great. Then we have an additional effect, and that is whenever an enemy dies, if Death Sensei is dead, is going to be revived and resummoned. That's pretty solid. Then we have the Revolution 5. This is a 30% increase in stat, so up to 150%, pretty good. And then whenever Calliope assists in eliminating enemies, the cooldown of Make Them Afraid is decreased by 90%. This is decent because that skill is quite good and also helps with survivability. But okay, it is what it is. It's not as good as Revolution 4 in my opinion. Then we have the first active skill. This is an AoE attack. It's pretty small, but it's going to proc on Death Sensei and Calliope, so both of them. And there is going to be a healing effect for 5 seconds, and also a 400% attack as damage every second that will paralyze for 1 second. I will say it is fine. Damage-wise, it sucks. The healing, not too useful, but the paralyze could be nice because 5 seconds is quite long. But yeah, not really too insane of an active skill. The other one is probably the most important one. She's going to have an attack increase, whatever, and then she's going to conceal herself and quickly go behind the enemy with the highest attack, then dealing damage and inflicting fear. She's immune to status effect while using the skill. Okay, fine. And the Revolution 4 is going to make it so it always crits, which is kind of irrelevant unless you're going for a Ryana build, but this is only recommended at lower deficits. At higher deficits, she will not kill anyone. And the enemy hit will also have their energy stolen by like 400, which is really, really good. So with the Rainbow 5 Calliope, you're going to dash, steal energy, and immediately cast a special move, basically, which is really massive for the exclusive equipment that we're going to see in a second. So overall, Orange 4, massive, Rainbow 5, massive as well for the energy. Then we have the special move. This one makes Calliope invincible, good, and then makes the enemies love struck. The AoE is very, very small, but if you have decent grouping, this could reliably get multiple enemies. And is going to strike down on them, dealing 1800% attack as damage, fine. And love struck enemies become fascinated for 4 seconds. And also their physical resistance is going to be decreased by 50% for 10 seconds. So the Fascinate is a nice crowd control, paired with the Paralyze. She's okay in this compartment. She has decent crowd control. The physical resistance decrease is just whatever, it's additional damage, but is not too high. And yeah, this is the base kit. Nothing too insane. There is a lot of stuff lacking, like damage is not there. Utility, kind of. Crowd control is okay, but actual debuffs are very sad. So yeah, I don't really like it that much. But let's quickly go over the Revolution. We already mentioned the 2 main node upgrades, so I'm not going to talk about that. In terms of subnodes, collab units do not count toward archive completion, so do not invest in nodes that you do not need. And in her case, since I don't think she deserves the carry role, I wouldn't go for attack, I wouldn't go for crit rate, I wouldn't go for crit damage. I wouldn't go for defense either. I think she survives just fine without it, but could be potentially an option. I don't recommend it though. I wouldn't go for lifesteal. She has a heal in her kit, and that's more than enough, I would say. And the only 2 I would consider are the tier 1 and tier 2. So effect hit, if you are already at higher floor and the 80 from Origin Orb is not enough, and you got none from your ignition weapon, then you might need some additional effect hit, or for PvP. Definitely important for that. But yeah, accuracy is going to be the most important one. If you are below the enemy accuracy, you definitely want to dump some points into it. And that's it. The bonus elimination energy doesn't matter in my from my point of view, and also the max cooldown reduction is too expensive. Both of these too expensive to use on a to upgrade on a collab unit, unless they really depend on it, which I don't think it's the case for Calliope. And yeah, that's it for Revolution, guys. I'm going to try and speed it up. For exclusive equipment, this is really important. We have the crit damage increase. I don't give a shit about that because, as I mentioned, I don't think she's a DPS. Level 1 only relevant at lower deficits, so let's say 320 and below, because at that point resistances still work and the enemies will not kill her if you have enough resistances. So this one is acceptable but will become irrelevant. Level 2 also adds a provoke that lasts for 5 seconds, to the Spotlight active skill. This is decent to keep enemies at least grouped up and attracted on Death Sensei, but again, the grouping is not that strong, so it's just if the enemies are already there, you're going to try and keep them there. That's all there is to it. Level 3 is where it's at. This is a really good upgrade, and also what well played GGVP mentioned when I mentioned that before. And this is a steal of 50% accuracy from love struck enemies. So enemies where you cast the special move on, and also ignoring 40% evasion. This is irrelevant, but the 50% accuracy steal is really good because enemies are going to miss their attacks, which is something you want to see. And this is something that can help counter Revolution Bomb, again, as shared by well played GGVP. This is really decent, a really good strat, because Revolution Bomb has an AoE effect that is really big, is going to hit most of your backline, and every single tick of damage when your deficit is too high is going to kill your whole team. So you want this evasion to dodge those annoying hits. And I think this is great. This is a really good effect to have and will help a ton. But it's just the use case. If you're not at floor 141 and above, that is when a Revolution Bomb starts to appear, she's not really going to be that useful. I mean, she's still useful, again, to make it so the iced attack enemy misses the hits, but not as important, I would say. Then we have level 4 is just additional effect to the ally death and enemy death, sort of passive effects. There is going to be an evasion increase whenever an ally dies and an accuracy increase whenever an enemy dies. Max 5 stacks up to 100% in each. Decent, especially durability wise for the evasion, but again, not too massive. And yeah, that's more or less all there is to her kit and also her exclusive equipment. If we talk about ignition weapons, what I would recommend, I think it's just Bari. She can work on Alocasia, she can work on Ryanna, she can work on Rafflesia, yes. But I think Bari is probably the best when you just get hit because she has a lot of those mechanics to make it so she doesn't get hit. But when she does, you want the proc from Bari, I think. So I think this is reasonable. It's probably the best ignition weapon for her. I wouldn't particularly recommend any of the other ones. So yeah, that's more or less it. I will try some more, but this is definitely what I would recommend. Ryanna, I would say not to that because she has a 3-second fear on the skill that would proc Ryanna, and Ryanna has a 3-second silence. You don't care about the silence on a unit that is feared, so to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, there is a guaranteed hit on the skill, but you want to hit the special move, not necessarily the dash, so it doesn't help with that. And okay, enough for this unit, guys. Let's move on to Tokoyami Towa. And this unit, for my opinion, like is a lot better. This is amazing. This unit is insane. She has a lot of stuff in her kit, lots of debuffs, lots of CCs, really good survivability with the Revolution 5, unfortunately, but really good survivability boost. Really, really good stuff, guys. I think Towa is one of the best supports we have in the game, among the best. And yeah, there is not much we can say. If you have the resources to summon, I think it would be a shame not to summon on her. Because as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, once the banner is gone, she will be gone. You cannot obtain her anymore. You will get her for free just by playing. As I also mentioned, you will just have to complete the missions, and you will get at 0 dupes Towa, but she's so much better Revolution 5. So you definitely want to max her out. And yeah, that's all I can say for now about her. Absolutely amazing. Definitely do not miss out on her if you have the resources. I would even go as far as saying that I'd rather go for her and risk on missing the family head banners if you are a new player, because the family head banners are likely going to be rerun in June or July. So even if you are missing the rerun that they're doing for new players in the following updates, it's still okay. I mean, you will still pull for them, they will come back, but Towa is not coming back. And she's a support. With her kit, she's basically never going to go out of meta. She's always going to be useful. I really like her. So, yeah, if you can, summon. Otherwise, you might regret it. And it's a shame to regret it on collab units because, again, they will be gone. So, keep that in mind, guys. And I would recommend going for her. If you miss out on Calliope, is not the end of the world, I think, but Towa is definitely a massive unit. That being said, let's have a quick look at the skills and the rest. So let's start with the passive. She has a skill block on the passive, which is nice every 4 seconds. It should be 8, if I remember correctly, or 9 at level 1. So it is good. Helps with survivability and some initial skill hits that some enemies might have. And then whenever she uses a skill, she's going to apply a buff for everyone in the team. And this is already massive. Like whenever she uses this special move, this summon BB, she's going to increase the swiftness of every single unit by 25 for 10 seconds, max 3 stacks. Massive. 75 swiftness increase. Massive. This is absolutely massive. On 5 units at that. This is insane. Absolute insanity. It can be removed with buff removal skills, but she applies stacks every time she uses this special move. So they're going to be up a lot of time. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Then we have one of the two active skill, TMD. She's going to increase attack and defense by 80% for 10 seconds on all allies. Max 3 stacks. This is 240% attack and defense increase. This is very, very high numbers. Really insane, guys. So also for this one, great. And this skill will have a cooldown reduction on the revolution. So this is also going to be massive. Really good. Will be up all the time. This is more susceptible to the buff removals, but still absolutely amazing. And then we have a healing effect after she uses the other active skill, which is solid, not necessarily needed, but definitely a good effect. So the passive is already super stacked. I love it. Then we have the first active skill, TMT. That is the one that procs the heal with the passive. And she's going to paralyze enemies in an AoE. The AoE is quite decent. And the paralyze lasts for 4 seconds. Definitely good. She also applies 2 damage over time effects. There is a shock on this skill and a bleed on the other one. Really good. And the percentages are really high, like 400% on this one, 600% on the other one. They both last for 10 seconds. And like 1000% attack per second is a lot of damage. Like she actually deals some okay damage as a sub DPS. She will not kill anyone unless your deficit is low enough, but her damage won't be negligible, let's say it like that. And we also have an attack reduction on the enemy by 80%. Really good, guys. So they will do less damage, they will heal less if their healing is based on attack. It's really good. They will have smaller shields, stuff like that. Really, really good. This is not going to be up all the time, I believe, unless you go for max cooldown reduction, which, spoiler, I don't recommend necessarily. It's again quite expensive, but it's not too bad. So yeah, it's not going to be up all the time, but for a decent amount of time. And the AoE, again, is pretty good. Then we have TMD. This is going to apply bleed to enemies in range. Also, in this case, the AoE is decent. And the bleed effect is also going to decrease the defense on the enemies by 80%. This is very high. This is a really good number. I was not expecting them to give an AoE defense decrease by 80%. This is massive, really, guys. It's really, really good. And then we have the Revolution 4. Yes, this one is Revolution 4. That is going to decrease the cooldown by 10 seconds, making it effectively up all the time. Really good stuff, guys. Really good stuff. Then we have the special move. This one is also super massive. She's going to have a giant BB fall, and the AoE on this one is pretty big. Is going to deal damage and knock them down for 5 seconds. Nice effect, nice duration, really good. There's going to be a physical and magic resistance decrease by 40%. This number is quite high, actually. And yeah, it's still a damage buff. Not insane, but definitely good. I mean, paired with also defense decrease and all the other things, really good stuff. She's also going to heal based on the damage dealt. This is not going to be a big heal, but it's there, I guess. And she's immune to status effects while using the skill, so she cannot be interrupted. Then we have Revolution 5, Massive. Remove debuffs from all allies upon using the special move and grants invincibility to everyone for 4 seconds. Massive, guys. You can, with some energy providers, have this up most of the time. It's difficult to have it up 100% of the time because it's only 4 seconds and it's not like 6, but it is still up a reasonable amount of time. If you link her to Mama Nak, then yes, it is going to be up all the time. Amazing. Really good. So great survivability, great utility. This unit is fucking amazing. I don't know what to say. Now, let's have a quick mention of the revolution as well. So not only the main nodes that we already covered, but especially the subnodes. So the ones I would recommend, still talking about the fact that you should not invest in too many because she's a collab unit and all of this is not going towards the archive progression again. So don't invest in too many things. I think effect resistance is always nice. While she's invincible, she cannot really like suffer from this. She is not going to be affected by crowd controls. And while casting the special move, she cannot be interrupted. But if there is downtime and you still don't have the energy or you're costing something else, having effect resistance could be beneficial. So I always like to have it on all supports, unless they are really immune to everything. And even if they are immune to crowd controls, so to status effects, they could still have some sort of debuffs applied to them. So swiftness decrease would be pretty detrimental. So I like to have effect resistance. And yeah, that's all I invested on mine. What I'm going to invest soon as well is attack increase because I will need it to have Mamanak reliably linked to her on most scenarios. So for that, I will need this one, but I don't recommend everyone to have it. It is only in very specific cases, and I know I will need it, so I will upgrade that. As I mentioned before, max cooldown reduction could be nice, but it is really expensive, so I'd rather not invest in it. And evasion could potentially be good. It's an 80 evasion. You might have some uses for it if your evasion is high enough, but usually it's not really on these kind of units, on intelligence units. And yeah, the rest I wouldn't bother. HP, quick damage reduction. Crit resistance kind of helps if you're still going with like resistance builds and they work for you. Then also getting less crits could be nice, but I wouldn't bother again. They don't provide any archive progression, so I'd rather not do that. Then let's move on to the exclusive equipment real quick. And for this one, we have magic resistance. I would have preferred physical or something else, but it is still fine. Then we have level 1, level 2, level 3 that are going to increase the debuff duration on the active skills and the special move. So I'm not going to talk about them individually. It's just a 5-second duration increase. They were all 10 seconds, now they're all 15 seconds. That's it. Then we have level 4 is going to increase by 5 seconds the duration of all the passive buffs. They were all 10 seconds, they're all 15 seconds. As simple as that. Nothing major about the exclusive equipment. It is nice. It will guarantee that you will have 100% uptime on all of the buffs, unless there is an enemy that removes them, but it is what it is. And yeah, in terms of ignition weapons, I would rather always go for Bari. I don't think there is any better alternative. Rafflesia, considering I want to go for effect resistance, and also she has the invincibility, so she won't really be affected by CC that much. I think it's not going to be too useful, but you could potentially use it. And the same applies to Runda and Doris if you want. But again, I'd recommend Barry, just in case there is a random one shot you're not expecting, to get at least to cast an additional special move. So yeah, that's my recommendation. That's what I wanted to mention here, guys. And let me know your thoughts on this collab in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on these units. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.